What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be switching the wheels on the Mazda CX50. We got a new set of wheels, or at least new to me, because I actually found them used. Sorry, that might have been a big smack here on my mic. But I picked up a good set of wheels, 20-inch wheels, 20 by 8.5, 35 offset, which is the wheel kind of specs I wanted to go with on this car. Nothing too aggressive, nothing too weak, especially compared to stock. So we are going to try to push this and be a little bit more flush. They are pretty much the exact same specs we had on our Mazda 3. If you remember, those wheels look great on the car. They made them a little bit more flush, and then it just sit a little bit better. Now, I'm going to upgrade over to 20s because 20s is the OEM size that comes on the turbo and the premium models and everything. And I do think that looks a little bit better compared to the 17s. Now, if I was going to be taking this car off-roading a lot and everything, I would probably stick with the 17s, but since it's a city cruiser, I think 20s is gonna just make it look a little bit better and hopefully look a little bit cooler. It is cold and rainy today. That's why you guys see me with a beanie and stuff. Usually I'm not wearing beanies, but it is a cold one today, and it is also kind of raining, so that's kind of gonna suck. Man, I can tell I'm already kind of winded. Jesus, I need to work out more. Anyway, so we are gonna get ready to go over to my buddy's shop and get the tires mounted into the wheels. I got my TPMS sensors with me and everything, so we should be good to go. Let's roll. All right, guys, so I know it's a little cloudy, so it might look a little bit dark, but I just want to give you a side shot here of the car before we add the new wheels in here. Obviously, we have the factory 17-inch on the Mazda CX50. They are black wheels, which I am not a huge fan of black wheels altogether. I do have a couple sets, and the ones I'm going to put on are not going to be a ton better, but it is going to look, I think, a little bit better than this, because I'll show you guys here in a second. But yeah, these are the, again, factory 17s. I believe those are 17 by 7 with an offset of 45. 40 or 45, I could be wrong. I'll write it down here once I confirm it. But they are a little bit more sunken in, obviously. Almost all cars from factory are like that. So we want to push our wheels just a little bit out, try to make it a little more flush here, give it just a little bit of a nicer stand, and hopefully we'll do that here with the new wheels. But yeah, this is how it looks. And then we're gonna move it inside of the garage right now and lift the car so we can swap out the new wheels. And here is the set of new wheels we're gonna be throwing on the Mazda CX50 today. This is what I meant by we're not doing a lot much better, because we're still gonna have a lot of black in the wheels. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of black, especially on wheels, but with this one's having the machine kind of silver or gray, whatever you want to call it, on the wheels, it makes them stand out more. They also are a little bit similar style like the OEM ones, which I kind of like the OEM ones, but I just didn't want to pay the premium of having those wheels and not having the spec that I wanted. So the main reason why I got these ones, they're not brand new. They are definitely a used set of wheels. They are Koko Kuture, I think, Mesh 7, if I'm not mistaken. They're older wheels. They've been discontinued, I think, by now. But the main reason why I picked them up is because, one, they were pretty cheap for a set of 20s. And then also, they were right on the spec I wanted to try on this car, which is 20 by 8.5 plus 35 offset. So this is going to push the wheel a little bit further out of the wheel wells. Hopefully we're going to be sitting flush, at least according to my calculations that I did. We should be pretty close, or maybe just a little bit under, but I definitely didn't want to overshoot and get something maybe like a plus 25 or something like that where it sticks out too much. My wife, while she takes care of our things, she is a little clumsy when it comes to the wheels. We definitely have scratched up a previous set of wheels and everything, so this way I figure it wouldn't hurt as much. They are a little bit curve rash here and there, but as you can tell here, they look pretty good overall. So all in, we are in with a brand new set of tires and everything, less than what I would pay for a brand new set of wheels, and then still have to get tires on top of that. So happy with this. I think they're going to look great on the car. Like I said, the machine with the black is going to match with the black and the white on the car, so they're going to look fine. And the car is now up in the air, and this actually took me a little bit just because my quick jack, I guess, is getting outdated now with all these cars getting so big. Those damn jacking points are so far apart in a lot of newer cars. This happened also with my buddy's BMW. He brought his 24 to 30i, I believe. And we couldn't use the quick jack just because the jacking points were so far apart. Apparently there's an adapter for that, which is more money, but we made it work. We got the edges of the jacking points, so hopefully we're fine there. But yeah, we are up in there. We're gonna go ahead and start taking these wheels off and then put the new ones on there. All right, guys, real briefly, I want to talk about a few things you might want to consider if this is your first time changing wheels on a car or upgrading to kind of aftermarket wheels and you want to do it yourself. Is you need to make sure you have two things. One of them is going to be potentially new lug nuts. Most aftermarket wheels have a more narrow lug nut space. So a lot of times the OEM lug nuts, which are usually about a 21 millimeter size, will not fit into aftermarket wheels. And sometimes it's not because it won't fit like directly in here, as you can tell this fits in there, but the actual socket that you're going to use to take this out is not going to fit in this hole. So you might have to go with something that is either a little bit more narrow or it might have a different type of seat. So most aftermarket wheels are going to be I believe we call it conical seat, which is kind of a taper into the middle. And a lot of times some manufacturers, some cars might have what they call ball seat or just a different type of lug nut that won't sit well on your wheel. So I recommend you go with aftermarket lug nuts for most of the time. If you think you can make it work with your OEM ones, then keep those. But like I said, most of the time you're gonna have to change them. So luckily we have the leftovers from a Mazda 3 here, which fit perfect in here and also give us space for the lug nut up here. They're not the best, they're a little bit faded, so I will have to upgrade that a little bit later. But the other thing to keep in mind as well is some hub rings. Now, most aftermarket wheels are going to be a little bit on the bigger side so they can fit more vehicles. So most of the times they're about 73.1 milliliters. That could be a little bit bigger than that, depending on the wheel. And then your hub here, your hub bore size, is not going to be that. This is going to be a 60, at least on the Mazda CX50, is going to be a 67.1. So what we need is basically hub rings that upsize that. So from a 67.1 to a 73.1, which is what the hub size is on this wheel. That way we'll put the wheel here and it'll be centered without having to be centered by the lug nuts themselves. So another thing to keep in mind, you might want to check on that. You should be able to find that information on the wheels you're getting. If you are getting some set from Marketplace like I am right now, you might have to look and see what type of wheel that is and try to find those specs online. But yeah, so we have our hub rings, we have our lug nuts, we are ready to put this wheel in here and then move on to the next one. So let's do it. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell here, but I just wanted to quickly show you too, because we are going with an OEM size on the tire. We're basically going to be staying about the same as the 17s were as far as diameter and running and everything. So this is going to be very accurate inside the car. You don't have to worry about I'm going a little bit faster or I'm going a little bit slower because of it. So that's another plus with going with this tire size in particular. So I think we're going to be good there. And then I'll check the weight, but most of the time aftermarket wheels are usually a little bit heavier for sure, unless you go with something like a forged wheel. So do expect to have a little bit more weight on bigger wheels, obviously, and the new tire size. So there's a chance you can drop on MPGs. If you are concerned about that, then definitely stick with the OEM one. But otherwise, you might notice a slight difference on miles per gallon. All right, so I'm gonna try to see if I can weight here the OEM tire. It's gonna be hard to do here with one hand, but let me see. So OEM one is about 47.6 pounds, tire and wheel combo. And let me go ahead and switch here to the other one that we have real quick so I can show you that one. All right, and here I have the new one and we are gonna put it in here. Let's see. So about 58.8. So we are gonna be about almost 12 pounds difference in weight, which it is quite a bit, because 12 times 4 is gonna be a little bit more, obviously, all around. So I do expect to see a slight decrease on MPGs on the car. Just keep that in mind. I would recommend you kind of check weights and stuff on like that. If you don't want to lose MPGs, you need to find something that's as close as it is to OEM or maybe under. And again, under usually is a way more expensive wheel because they'll be forged or something that makes them a little bit lighter. So the car is already starting to look even better. And the last thing I want to talk here real quick is about the torque on the lug nuts. Mazda gives you kind of a wild range between, I think it's 88 all the way to 108, and that's a pretty wide range, quite honestly. So I would say torque everything to 100 foot-pounds and you'll be good. all 4 of them 100 foot-pounds, you are set. That's what I was torquing my Mazda 3 at, which had the same kind of wild spec on them, and it never had any problems. So check it out, guys. So we have now the car outside. Wheels are and lug nuts are torqued right to 100 foot-pounds all around. The wheels look awesome. I'm not a big fan of black wheels to begin with, but the black with the machine face matches the overall style of the CX50, of the white with the black cladding all around. So it just gives it a little bit different from that turbo premium look with the OEM wheels. Makes them just a little bit different, but still looks good. If you wanted bigger wheels, you could potentially go up to a 21, 22, but keep in mind your tires are gonna be a lot skinnier, so ride comfort is gonna suffer for sure. Outside of that though, this is looking good. Now, these are again 20 by 8.5 plus 35, and I wanted to feel the fenders. I wanted to be a little bit flush, and I want to talk about that here. So here on the front, you might not be able to fully tell here, but it is pretty flush, pretty much flush. You could maybe get away with an extra 5 millimeters and go with a plus 30 instead of a 35 to be a little bit more flush. But it looks great overall. The only area that is a little bit of a problem, I guess you could say, is the back. Now this area is a little bit wider, I guess, compared to the front, so it sticks out a little bit more. So this is not as flush as the front is, which is a bit of a shame. I wish it was even all around, because that will keep an even look all around. But you could potentially, like I said, get away with an extra or a less 5 millimeters on the front, and that will push this one a little bit further out, so it looks a little bit more flush. The one thing I would say though, I do not recommend that you go with any sort of stagger wheels or any sort of different offset on the wheels, like have plus 25 on the back and then plus 35 on the front, because that can mess up your all-wheel drive system. Trust me, coming from Subarus before, you want to keep your setup square all around, even widths, even offsets, everything the same, just because not only is it going to make it easier for you to rotate tires and wheels all around, but it also is going to save your all-wheel drive system. You don't want to have different sizes and everything, because it affects it. I don't know the specifics of that, but trust me, it affects it. You don't want to mess up your all-wheel drive system. But yeah, here it is. It looks awesome. I think it looks nice. We're gonna go ahead and take it out for a spin, make sure my TPMS are reading fine. But if you swap your OEM ones into the new wheels, then you should be good to go. So let me know your thoughts on the comments down below, guys. Let me see what you guys think about it. Would you go with this setup, or would you maybe go a little bit more aggressive and go with a lower offset so they stick out a little bit more? Otherwise, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.